On a July morning in 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, a woman stepped out of her half-timbered house, walked into the street, and began to dance. She danced all day. She danced into the night. When she collapsed from exhaustion, she got back up and danced again. Nothing could make her stop. Not pleading, not pain, not the blood in her shoes. Her name was Frau Trophia. Within a week, 34 of her neighbors were dancing beside her, none of them by choice. Within a month, there were 400. Stay with me, because 500 years later, historians still cannot fully explain what took hold of that city. And the explanation that finally makes sense says something deeply uncomfortable about all of us. Strasbourg, in 1518, was a city on its knees. Years of failed harvests had emptied the granaries. Disease moved through the crowded districts. People were hungry, frightened, and, crucially, they believed in a saint named Vitus, who was said to have the power to curse sinners with a plague of dancing. His feast day had just passed. Everyone in the city knew the stories. Anger Saint Vitus, and you would dance without mercy. So when Frau Trophia began her dance on July 14th, the city didn't see a medical emergency. It saw the old curse made flesh. The afflicted didn't dance like revelers at a festival. Witnesses described spasmodic, joyless movement, bodies drenched in sweat, faces blank, feet torn and bleeding, dancers collapsing and rising and collapsing again, for days on end. They danced in the market square, in the guild halls, in their own homes. They begged for help. They could not stop. The city's physicians consulted their best knowledge and reached a verdict. The malady was caused by hot blood. The cure? Dance it out. Sweat the fever from the body, and the madness would pass. And this is where the story turns from strange to unbelievable. The city council followed that advice to the letter. They opened the guild halls to the dancers. They built a wooden stage in the market square. They hired professional musicians, pipes, drums, anything with a rhythm, and even brought in professional dancers and strong men whose job was to hold the afflicted upright so they could keep dancing until the sickness burned itself out. You can guess what happened next. The music, the stage, the spectacle, it turned a compulsion into a contagion. More people joined. The cure was feeding the disease. Later accounts claimed that at the height of it, the dancings was claiming up to 15 lives a day. Hearts giving out, bodies collapsing beyond recovery. Now, in honesty, the records written at the time don't give us a reliable count of the dead, but that hundreds danced for weeks, that some collapsed and never rose again, that the city chronicles, the sermons, and the physician's notes all agree on. This is not legend. It is one of the best documented events of its century. By August, the council admitted the obvious. Hot blood was wrong, and the stage had to go. They dismantled it, silenced the musicians, and turned to the only authority left, the church. The diagnosis changed from fever to curse. Saint Vitus had inflicted the dancing. Only Saint Vitus could lift it, and Strasbourg was not alone. For 3 centuries, dancing manias had flared along the Rhine, in Switzerland, in Germany, in Holland. Dozens of outbreaks, small and large. But none was as large, as long, or as well documented as the summer of 1518. The dancers were loaded onto carts and carried up into the mountains, to a shrine of Saint Vitus at Hohenstein. There, priests pressed small wooden crosses into their palms, fitted their feet with red shoes, an offering to the saint said to have been tortured by being forced to dance, and led them in slow circles around the altar in rituals of penance. And then, over the following weeks, the dancing stopped. By September, the square was quiet. The carts stopped climbing the mountain. Strasbourg returned to normal, as if 400 of its citizens had never spent a summer dancing against their will. So, what actually happened? The favorite theory for a century was ergot, a fungus that grows on damp rye and survives in trace amounts in bread. It can cause spasms, hallucinations, convulsions, poison bread, poison minds, a city dancing. It's a tidy answer. There's just one problem, and historian John Waller spelled it out in The Lancet. Convulsive ergotism doesn't let you dance. Its victims suffer rigid, jerking, agonizing spasms. They can barely stand, let alone keep rhythm for days. The chemistry doesn't fit the chronicles. Waller's explanation is stranger and harder to dismiss. Mass psychogenic illness. Mass hysteria in the older language. A city crushed by famine and fear, holding a vivid belief that a saint could seize your body and make it dance. And then one woman, in genuine distress, begins. Every neighbor who watched knew the story. Every trembling, exhausted, terrified onlooker was primed. The mind, under enough strain, doesn't wait for permission. The body joins the story before the reason can object. The belief was the vector. The dancing was the symptom. And the shrine, the red shoes, the crosses, the ritual, worked for the same reason the curse had, because the dancers believed it would. If that sounds like medieval superstition, consider this. Psychologists see the same mechanism today, when waves of unexplained tics and symptoms spread through classrooms, and now through social media feeds, among people under stress who see others affected first. Strasbourg didn't have TikTok. It had a saint. The circuitry is identical. That's the fact. The deadliest dance in history had no music worth dancing to, no poison strong enough to explain it, and no cure but belief itself. What the facts? Next time, the fog that swallowed an entire city for 5 days, and the killer hiding inside it that no one could see.